How's everyone feeling?
Good.
Thank you so much. I know it's a small crowd, but I appreciate every single one of you for showing up. If you didn't know, this month starts National LGBT History Month, and today we are gathering today to celebrate National Trans Visibility Day. And we are here to align with the National Trans Visibility March in DC. Just want to make it clear that as we navigate this space, who we are here to uplift, it's obvious and it's clear that even though we are all part of this community, that there are several identities that are continuing to be marginalized and left out of the conversation of LGBT history. Trans people, specifically trans Black people, are constantly being murdered, harassed, ridiculed, ostracized from the communities that we serve, and that we basically built so that all of us in our queerness can be safe and seen and valued. And today we're holding space for trans people, specifically trans people of color, so that their voices will continue to be heard and uplifted in this community, and so that we can continue listening to their voices and hearing what they have to say, because they hold so much value for us to actually be here today. So thank you all again for being present and acknowledging that this is the space for that here. Trans people will continue to be going through the worst of the worst, and the only way we can continue protecting our community is if we are here uplifting each other and maintaining respect and making sure that everyone in our community is safe. So while we're here today, we are gonna have a few speakers. We're gonna be having them share their story, share their experiences, share why this is important, and we're gonna take a little march around the park and continue having speakers and continue uplifting trans people's voices. So can I have my first speaker come up really quickly?
Hi, my name's Armani Washington, and I'm a survivor of trans violence. To be honest, I really don't know what I'm going to talk about. I kind of wrote this morning when I woke up. But for the past couple of months, I've held so much anger in and so many emotions, and I just don't know how to handle it. Why did it take for this to happen? Why did it take I'm sorry, I'm just a little nervous, y'all.
You got it.
Okay. Why did it take for this to happen, for us to become one and for us to be united? Why did it take for this to happen, for us to see the bigger picture? The only time you see trans women come together is when something devastating happens or when something tragic happens. You rarely see trans women come together when someone is winning or when someone is doing great. I've been back on my feet for about 6 months now, and I've encountered from the community so many rumors spread about me, about the traumatic experience that I went through. About the traumatic experience I went through. about the traumatic experience I went through April 7th of 2020 of this year. I received 2 phone calls. One person told me that I set that up for me to get a GoFundMe account just to get money. And another person, I just said I did it for attention. And these were from so-called leaders that were in the community that people look up to. But me being a leader, an up-and-coming leader, and a role model for younger trans women, I ignored it. Because no one should have to go through that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. 2020 has really been a hard year for me. I lost my biggest supporter, my mom. God rest her soul.
Take your time.
It's been the hardest thing for me because when you lose the person that brought you into this world, you see the world totally different. You see the world totally different. More things stand out than usual. And that's when you can tell the real from the fake. And that's why I didn't give up. But I do think of the support that I did have was from my mom, Maya, my auntie, Courtney, Toya, and the 2 organizations that supported me through what I went through, Howard Brown and Brave Space Alliance. Shout out to them.
Take your time. Speak your truth.
But since then, I've really been staying to myself and I've been putting on a face. Just so when I come out, I don't want people to ask me what's wrong, are you okay? Do you need anything? And I tell everybody I'm just fine. But the one thing that really pisses me off is how the Chicago Police Department treated me. I got out the hospital Easter Sunday. And that Monday, a detective called my phone and asked me, was I transgender? I said, yes. What does that have to do with anything? They said, we just wanted to know, we're going to call you back. The next day, my lawyer called me and told me that the detectives suspended my case due to it wasn't enough evidence. I literally fought for my life. The boy dropped the knife. They had fingerprints off my window, and they had a video of him running out of my building. But they don't have enough evidence. Every day I step foot out my door, I live my life in fear, knowing that I have to look over my shoulder everywhere I go. No person should have to live like that. And I hope none of my sisters or brothers have to ever live like that, because I wouldn't wish that pain on no one. Before I am trans, I am black. Before I'm black, I am human. Before I'm human, we all bleed the same color blood. Remember that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Armani. We're gonna introduce our second and third speaker together. Lisa Cruz and Maya Lozano. Lisa Cruz was born in Santurce, Puerto Rico in the year 1958. Her mother from Puerto Rico, her father from Cuba. Lisa, at the early age of 14, started transitioning, secretive, and hiding from her siblings. She tried the first lipstick and fell in love of feeling different, meaning like a girl. When her mother found out that she was dressing like a female, she was kicked out of her house. Her father always agreed for Lisa to be who she wanted to be. Her mother didn't like the idea. At the age of 15, Lisa's father gave a signed letter to authorize Johnny Rodriguez, a Puerto Rican composer who was the director of El Cortorito, The Little Parrot, a female impersonator avenue based in the metropolitan area of Puerto Rico. Lisa has been living her life as a trans female since the age of 15. Working at the show review on a tour, Lisa traveled with the show to countries such as Panama, Venezuela, Canada, Dominican Republic, New York, Chicago, to name a few. Lisa moved to New York at the age of 18 in 1975, her first serious relationship that lasted almost 10 years. Lisa became a performer once again and started working at the famous La Escalita in Manhattan, New York for over a period of 16 years. She worked in many clubs and after hours that alone grant her by the community of New York. Living legend, Ginger Valles. Our second speaker, Maya Lozano, my bad. Her name is Esmeralda Maya Lozano, born June 24th, 1988 in Chicago, Illinois. Esmeralda's parents both immigrated from Guerrero, Mexico in the late 70s. She is the youngest child of 5. Esmeralda grew up in the west side of Chicago on Humboldt Park and graduated from Calvin Park High School in 2007. She took a break from her studies for 1 year in order to decide how she wanted to further explore her studies for the future. It was her decision to attend an 8-month course and become a medical assistant in Illinois School of Health and Careers. She completed the course and graduated in June of 2014. On November 2010, Esmeralda had the courage to start her process in wanting to live her truth. After realizing who she was meant to be, she opened that door 10 years ago, in fear, but with the certainty that it was time for her to live reality. Esmeralda was scared because she knew what she was going to be facing. Hate, prejudice, jokes, looks of indifference, among many things. Many of these barriers she knew would come from her own community and even from her own family and friends and close friends. At the time, she proceeded with following her dreams as the woman she always wanted to become. She was fortunate to have the unconditional love of her mother and her family's respect and support in accepting her ways as she was pursuing her life. On October 2013, she had the opportunity to start working for an organization that serves Latino and African American communities in the city of Chicago. She began her career with the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, assisting and promoting actions that support recovery through services and outreach of the HIV and STI prevention. She understood that it was a perfect opportunity to educate people with her story, with her voice. She is a proud Mexican American working for the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, but her purpose is to help communities of color under the same vision of prevention directed to this population. She later became more involved and became an HIV STI tester, counselor, and general health worker, becoming the medical assistant for V.O.I.C.E.S, the prevention outreach program of the Puerto Rican Cultural Center. Esmeralda helps the Chicago transgender community wholeheartedly by reaching out to them and extending support. She has been providing information on transgender and ethnic pride, HIV/AIDS education, harm reduction, safer transitions, assertive skills, coping skills, and review and peer-led teaching backs on health. It has not been easy road for her, but if she can tell you that today there are more smiles of respect and admiration than the laughs of her mockery than she's received. Her goal is not only to be a superhero for her community or for anyone, nor does she claim that you should be, but here in this world we live taking into account that the trans community are more visible now than ever before. Therefore, accept your reality and fight to be happy, always respecting everyone's reality. Love yourself, value yourself, as respect begins with yourself. The higher of our level of self-esteem, the better we treat ourselves. Eliminate fear, destroy every stigma that does not allow your existence of who you are. Let the world know that you are worth it and you have every right to be an integral part of the human race. With love, Maya.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? I'm standing before you with a message with the utmost respect, in solidarity, and a hope. My name is Lizzie Isadora Cruz, as she mentioned at the beginning of her speech. Currently, I'm the coordinator of the Lisa Isadora Cruz Trans Chicago Empowerment Center, which is a division of the Puerto Rican Cultural Center in Division Street. Thank you, Freddie, and Agua Brown Organization for having me here, and thank you all. The reason why I'm here is not only to bring this message, but also to let you know that 3 days ago, I think it was on the 30th of this September this year, a nurse, transgender female from Puerto Rico, young, was shot 3 times in the face and twice in her head. This is a hate crime. Do I have to tell you this? I don't think so. I'm here to bring awareness to the rest of the world that trans lives matter. That these heinous hate crimes against transgender women is unacceptable and must stop. One hate crime against one of my sisters is too many. The world must know that we are here to stay, and we will fight until this situation is solved, sooner or later. I will fight until my last breath, because this is my call, my passion, and my duty. I pray to God that one day we as transgender women will celebrate our right as humans, and that we will be treated with the respect and dignity that is ours. If nowadays we don't matter to the world, I assure you that we do matter to God. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Esmeralda Lozano, and I am the program coordinator of Trans Chicago 2.0 in Humboldt Park. While these hate crimes are becoming almost a trend, it came to my mind that even in this year of 2020, there has been almost 30 hate crimes involving murders in the trans community. My sisters have been killed, and this is so stressful. And many times I don't even sleep. I can't sleep. The damage is real. We must keep fighting to be the voice for those that don't have a voice anymore. Rest in power, sisters of mine. And just to remind you guys, we live our lives to please ourselves, not to please the world. Thank you so much.
For our next speaker, it's going to be Zahara Bassett. Zahara Bassett is an American businesswoman. Zahara pronouns are she, her, hers. Zahara is the Director of Development and Internal Relations at Brave Space Alliance. Yes, snaps. She has served as a research assistant at Howard Brown Health. Zahara is the CEO and president of Life.is.Work, a non-profit and Only Mattel Inc. She is a graduate of Illinois Medical Media School in Broadcast Corporation. For years, Zahara has supported and provided comprehensive resources to the TGNC communities of color on the west and south side of Chicago. Zahara started her initiative with Life.is.Work by developing meals for Christmas, feeding those who are homeless on Christmas Day. Zahara has served on many grassroots boards of directors and planning communities locally and nationally. Please give it up for Zahara.
Oh my God, thank you guys so much for having me. How is everyone today? We know it's gloomy, but we need to put some more energy into this. This is Trans Visibility Day. Let's be visible in this park. Let the people know that we are here. This is not, we're going to do the visual later, but we're going to celebrate each other today, right? Yeah. Because this is Visibility Day, National Trans Visibility Day, and we are here to make ourselves known and present in 2020 and throughout the rest of our lives. That we're going to make ourselves present and also accountable and also celebrating one another. We have to overcome the white supremacist network and make our own network amongst each other and thrive amongst each other, locally and nationally.
So I'm here today. I'm representing my agency, who I found over 3 years ago, which is Life.is.Work. Thank you. Oh, that's loud. So I'm here today. I'm here. I'm representing Life.is.Work. I am the founder and CEO of Life.is.Work. I am currently the acting executive director of Life.is.Work, along with me working over at Brave Space Alliance as the director of development. It has been a journey, and it has been a pleasure of constantly pouring in support and helping my community grow and gain visibility. That's my passion. It has always been my passion to take care of what's mine and defeat the, oh my God, I'm losing my thoughts.
Take your time.
I know. I just should have done enough of these. Okay. Has always been my passion and my heart to defeat the disparities that we go through as trans individuals. So I come today, and I'm going to give a little statistics, a little bit of the disparities that we do face and we continue to face even now today. 1 in 5 transgender people in the United States has been discriminated when seeking homes, and more than 1 in 10 has been evicted from their homes because of their gender identity. Family rejections and discrimination and violence have contributed to a large number of transgender and other LGBTQ youth who are homeless in the United States. In an estimate of 20 to 40% of more than 1.6 million homeless youth, according to the National Center for Trans Equality. Trans people report a yearly income of at least $10,000 a year throughout their lifetime. That's ridiculous, right? Yeah. So we shouldn't have to be put into boxes. We are human. We shouldn't have to be put into boxes and limited to our ability to be leaders. I stand here today on the foundation of being a leader and supporting Black trans leadership and what that looks like when you step over into Black trans leadership and how you can help your inner network grow. Housing is the foundation upon which all stability is built. Without stable housing, it is hard for trans people to focus on total wellness. Total wellness meaning mental health, employment, and housing. Sorry. Life.is.Work has been founded back in 2017. Starting on our initiative to feed the homeless, which we still do every year, our event of feeding the homeless. Life.is.Work is happy to say today that we have been able solidly to house 6 girls within this last few weeks. Stable for a year. And I also want to add that's independently funded.
Go ahead, Zara.
Life.is.Work, and I'm going to read you guys the mission for Life.is.Work. Life.is.Work is devoted. Well, first of all, I want to say Life.is.Work is the first trans collective social service agency here in Chicago.
Yeah.
Thank you. Life.is.Work mission is devoted to providing Black and Brown transgender, non-conforming communities and Black and Brown cis women experiencing chronic homelessness and instability access to basic life needs, training and education and vocational resources, peer-to-peer motivation. Along with those resources, Life.is.Work is providing opportunities to become self-sufficient and securing affordable housing. Our vision, we aim to make the entire community more responsible to the need of the interests of the marginalized communities. We are committed to mobilizing resources and robust, sustainable programs for all women and TGNC individuals seeking a better life for themselves. We step forward into the conversation of holding oneself accountable for your lives with the assistance of resounding success. We are here. I want to say that as trans people, we have to continue to support each other. We have to get out here and vote. Ballots. I think the registration is coming up this week, the 6th. If you have not registered to vote, please reach out to one of your local agencies. All the agencies, LGBT-friendly agencies, are assisting people in registering to vote. Please vote like your life depended on it, because our visibility depends on it. Thank you guys for having me. I love you all. Prosperity, life. And I also want to leave you guys with one more thing, because I did say I was going to say this. And because it swept over. Every morning I get up and I read a scripture from the Bible to lead my day. And today I woke up in James 3:8. For anyone that higher power. I don't mean to press any religion or anything on anyone. James 3:8 had read this morning, and I want to go back to it. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. James 3:8 read, "The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear the sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from, where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. We are all born in the Spirit. We are all allowed to blow the way we want to blow and come and go as we want to go. We are all allowed to live how we choose to live within the Spirit that God has put, the higher power above has put into us." And I leave you with that. Thank you all, and I love you. If you all are interested into Life is Work, please look us up. We are Life is Work. Now I'm going to say this, probably going to be funny. We are lifeisworks.org. It's with an S because we could not afford without the W, without the S. It was $1,200. I'm sorry, I didn't have it. So we are lifeisworks with an S.org. Please check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We are a continuing grassroots organization. We are independently funded. And of course, we are continuing to push the movement for housing stability in Chicago for trans people and Black African American women.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before I have our next speaker come up, I'm going to introduce somebody from the community. Her name is Jada. She is also a lovely trans woman, and she has something very important to share with all of you that is relevant to maintaining safe space for trans women today. All right, so the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression did endorse today's event. Things did come together like kind of quick today, so apologies for not getting that out on our Facebook page. But we need to talk about community control over the police, because so many times in our community we get harassed by the police. When crimes are committed against us, the police do not investigate because they don't care. They don't give a f*** about us. And that's a problem. But how do we fix that? How do we create change that's more than a word? Change that's more than some damn ordinance or fake board to investigate cops. How do we stop the police from investigating themselves? That is what CPAC is all about. By establishing a civilian police accountability council, it gives us the power as a community to decide what these damn cops are doing, to hold them accountable, and it also gives us that ability to fire their asses when they're not doing their job right.
Woo! Yes.
But more importantly, I'm an abolitionist. I believe that we need to get rid of these damn police altogether.
Woo!
But we can't leave it up to them. We can't leave it up to Lori Lightfoot to defund these police because she ain't gonna do it. We need to do that. That's why CPAC is an ordinance that shifts the power dynamic. The reason they don't want to pass CPAC is that CPAC is a revolutionary demand. It brings us one step closer to liberation. And understand when I say liberation, I'm a socialist. We should have community control over not just the police, but the government and the economy too. That is the direction that we're heading in. Now, things have happened over the past 5 months that have pissed me off, and there ain't no way I can put it. It pissed me the fuck off. There has not been justice for Breonna Taylor. Woo! It's been over 200 plus days and still no justice for Breonna Taylor.
Speak on it.
That ain't right.
That ain't right.
Say that ain't right.
That ain't right.
Now, I feel people's anger. And I know that there's some folks
that want to burn down the city. I saw the anger in people's eyes so many times over the last 5 months. But let me tell you something, is that if you want to burn down the political and economic system that created the injustices against Breonna Taylor, that created the injustice against George Floyd, that continues to perpetuate the violence that happens in our community, if you want to tear that political and economic system down, if you want to rebuild something new and imagine something better, the path there, the first step that we must take, whether you're a revolutionary, whether you're a freedom fighter, whether you just want to live a dignified life, is community control. We start with the police, and then community control of the government, and then community control of the economy, and that is how we get liberated. Thank you so much.
Yeah!
Thank you so much, Dana. Our next speaker is going to be Deanna. Deanna Agbalada, aka can I say it wrong? Where is he? Agbalaya. Okay, my bad. Deanna Agbalaya, aka Delicious Gorgeous Gucci, is a 23-year-old trans woman of color with a goal to help the next generations of trans women, especially trans women of color. Deanna graduated high school top of her class and did 2 years at an HBCU college where she was discriminated against once most of her school found out she was transgender. Deanna was then kicked out and came back to Chicago with a drive to work for the LGBT and gender non-conforming community. With hopes Dee can make sure that no other trans women go through the same sort of obstacles that she did when she was growing up. Dee got accepted into the Peer Advocates program with the V.O.I.C.E.S program at the Broadway Youth Center, which is an internship where the youth are able to learn and work in health education field with LGBT and gender non-conforming community. On October 2nd, 2020, she is graduating out of the internship with more knowledge on how she can help the community and also at a higher chance of securing full-time employment in her next health education field.
Go ahead, Dee.
Yes, go off. Her journey is based around helping the next generation and to help build a better future for trans people of color. Give it up for Dee.
So usually when I talk, I always speak off my head because I'm a fast thinker. But Freddie asked me like, why is trans visibility important to me? So I woke up this morning and I just started writing a lot of stuff down. And this is my first time actually writing a speech for real, so bear with me, y'all.
Come on, Dee.
I am a transgender woman of color living in a world where my lifestyle has been looked upon as wrong by many people, but I have never let that deter me from my biggest purpose in life, which is to make sure that the next generation of transgender and gender non-conforming youth have the help and the resources that was not available when me and my peers were transitioning and coming up in lifestyle. It's important to have transgender and gender non-conforming workers. It's important for them to be visible. It's important for us to know that they're here and that we are not just, it's no hope for us. In a life where you feel lonely or you feel like people do not like you because your life decision can be very emotional and it can make people go into heavy, deep, dark depression. Every trans woman usually has the same story about how their family shuns them away or they're not accepted. Me, I'm so grateful by the grace of the higher power that I didn't go through that. My mom and my dad was like always there with me. My mom and my dad found out that I wanted to transition. Like it was a surprise to them because I didn't get to tell them face to face. So for a few months, it was kind of awkward between me and my mom. But soon as she understood where I was coming from, her, my mom, my dad, and my brother always was on my side with me. They never treated me no type of way, and I always had full support. And I feel like that's what made me become like so helpful and want to help everybody because I came from a loving background and I wasn't coming from somebody with hate or malice. I was really scared to come out to my mom because I didn't know how she would think. Seeing all of my other friends saying their parents was like reading them and like kicking them out and they was homeless, and it was scaring me because I'd be like, okay, what am I going to do when my mama kick me out and I'm trying to become a woman and I'm trying to transition and I have nowhere to go, I have no clothes to use. It was like really making me like get depressed to a certain degree, and I was very young. I was only 15, so I would be depressed at 15, and my mom would always ask me like, what's wrong with me? And I'd be like, nothing. I just blew it off because I didn't want to tell her the real reason. But when I finally came out to her, I noticed that she didn't really care about that. She cared about me being safe and me being her baby, and that really helped me down the long run. I just feel like Trans Visibility Day is a great day to have, and just to know that we are here, we can be workers, we can work in health education, we can work in customer service, we can work at call lines, we can work anywhere we want, we can be anywhere we want. They try to make us think that we wasn't here or it just happened or being transgender just happened. When they try to say they fighting for Black Lives Matter, they were fighting for all lives, because you have people like Marsha P. Jones, Sylvia, everybody that was out there fighting for LGBT rights as well. So I just want to come up here and like just say, don't let them make them think that we just came here, we just popped up. We've been here, we've been fighting, we're gonna keep fighting. For me being 24, I've seen a lot of change from me being young, and it's still a lot of change to go. It's still so much, and it's not gonna happen in our generation or the next generation. It's gonna take a few more generations to keep fighting, but I want them to know that it's hope, and that I want y'all to keep fighting and keep fighting even after all these generations are gone. Keep fighting for this, because we are here, we've been here, and we're gonna stay here with the rest of the world, because we all are human. And that's all I have to say.
Go ahead, Didi.
So it's gonna be our last speaker, Zola Chapman. She doesn't have a bio, but a little bit about her. She is an artist. She is a performer. She is a co-founder of Molasses and a Tea. She is lovely, and she is here. Where did she go? Okay. So I'm gonna have Lola come and speak, and after that we're gonna close out. Give it up for Zola.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm a big bitch. I'm gonna have to raise up the mic. Wait a minute. That's the wrong way. Okay, never mind. Thank you. Yeah, that works. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Give a hand for that man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Andy. Thank you, Andy. Hi, firstly, I'm Zola. I usually hyper-compose and hyper-analyze and really think about and plan out the things that I'm going to say within cases like this or like events like this, because I really feel that it is really pertinent to honor and hold space for not only the Black trans women and Black trans people that are here today and still live and find longevity and community with one another, but also those who do not have the grace and do not have the privilege to exist within this plane as well. But I've chosen not to do that immediately for a multitude of reasons, and just finding more grace and more solace and more validation and letting spirit and those same Black trans ancestors move through me and hold space within me and speak using my tongue and my teeth and all those great ligaments that make up words. But yeah, before I get into the piece that I want to read, just to commemorate the voices of those that have been silenced and the experience of those that have been extinguished, I just greatly want to express and remind so many who I feel may share the same experience as I, like myself and Didi, are extremely young. You 24, girl?
23. I'm gonna be 24.
You gonna be 24? I'm 22. Not, yeah. Which is, thank you. Which is so mind-boggling and funny and sometimes a little outrageous, because it is honestly such a privilege and such an experience to be, seen as an individual who has so much to say or so much to think about or so much to represent, but also like I see it so often the youth and the vitality of Black trans women are ripped away from them at such young ages.
because we are forced to be activists of our own existence. We are forced to be advocates. We are forced to stand in like these hierarchical positions of power and representation just to validate our existences as a whole. And that really saddens me in a way that I cannot describe, to see so many individuals have their literal youth taken from them, to see so many individuals, Black trans women, have their mortality pushed to the forefront of everything that they do. Because truly every move that we make and every step that we take is pushed with the intention of elongating our lives that are quickly and so often taken from us. And that being said, I'm also reminded that so many of us who do perish under this disgusting white patriarchy of a transphobic society that is America are extremely young. We are children. We are 19, 18, 17, 16, 20, 21, 22, 23. And there is no one to hold us. There is no one to claim us. There is no one to speak on our behalf when we are murdered. Motherless children. Fatherless children. Black trans children are so often abandoned and left to die. And again, their youth is taken from them. So, yeah, I guess that's the prefacing I wanted to give for when I read the poem I'm going to read, and to just express that Black trans women deserve to exist without the impending doom of death or the excitement about getting to the next day or the prayer to God, Allah, the higher power, so on and so forth, that, you know, don't nobody murk us in the street. We deserve more. I'm gonna awkwardly fish my phone out my pocket now. Hello? This poem doesn't have a name, which is very typical of me. And I really don't think it needs one. The children of the sea have spoken to me. I see them rising up from the cradle of the coast. I cast my gaze amongst their faces that span across centuries. They join hands and begin to sing in a tongue unfamiliar to my ears. Longing nested within their throats like stones rooted in earth. Their songs become cries, and their cries screams, until they begin to swell against the sand, retreating the ocean in its boundlessness when their song ceases. Their mouths agape, and from betwixt their lips comes wood and metal and rope, from which they begin to fashion a ship. And I stand upon the shore and feel liquid, thick and viscous wrap about my legs, holding them in a silken embrace. And I look below me, and I remark at the blood that has cascaded over the land to take place of the tide. In the distance, I see women, skin-coated in onyx and olivine, eyes of garnet and hairs of platinum and pearl, and eyes filled with twilight. They board the ships birthed by the babes and begin to sail across their scarlet sea, and I ask them, "Where do you sail? Where does your ship lead?" And they say to me, to a place we have never known, in a home we have never seen. The children of the sea have spoken to me. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zola, and thank you so much to all of the speakers that we had today. Just to echo what Zola, and Dee Dee mentioned, you know, they're young. They're only 22, about to turn 23, and we've had speakers that are well over that age. And while we are here to hold space for transness and uplift and make sure that their voices and them being visible is being centered here, I want to also let you all be aware of the fact that this is something that is necessary but also unnecessary. Having to be advocates for your own life consistently just by leaving your fucking house isn't very fair. And having to speak on behalf of yourself every single day as if your life didn't matter already isn't very fair. Having to just live with caution every single day isn't fair. And every single day, trans people are forced to do that because no one else will advocate for them. While we're here holding space and being respectful, understand that this is something that isn't fair. Trans people deserve to live life as humans without fear of being kicked out or killed or harmed or invalidated every day they leave their house. And the only way that can happen is if we're consistently sharing space and uplifting these voices. They continue doing so much work they shouldn't have to do. And we have to understand as a community that the only way this stops is if we are continuing to hold space for them and allow them to share their stories and share their truth so that the violence can finally stop. We're gonna continue doing this. This isn't gonna stop today. This isn't gonna stop this month. This isn't gonna stop this year. This isn't gonna stop until trans people stop getting killed.
Woo! Yes!
And that's the least we can do. Just like Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, they started these movements because they were tired of being harassed by police. They're tired of the community continuing to fail them. They're tired of finding other ways of work because they weren't getting hired by people, even though they had the skills and resources available to them to be just as competent, if not more successful, than their white counterparts. So understand that visibility doesn't stop here. If you know trans people in your life, you have to continue advocating for them because they're tired of doing it for themselves and not having people behind them when they're screaming out at the top of their lungs that they deserve rights and deserve to live too.
Go ahead, Ashabi, say that.
So while we're here, understand that, like it was mentioned before and will continue to be mentioned, this work doesn't stop here. Trans people will continue to be killed. If not today, if not by this hour, if not by this minute. And it's fucking fair. While we leave here today, understand that people in these communities need resources and need visibility and need to be heard. Understand that the police are not here to fucking protect us. Understand that we are here to protect us. We are what keeps each other safe. So the only way we can continue doing this is if we continue showing up, coming out, giving resources, being as loud as we can, being visible so that everyone knows that this is a movement and that this doesn't stop until we're all fucking safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ashabi.
So, as I close, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of these demands and why we organized this today. Our goal as Pride Without Prejudice is to reclaim pride from the white profiteers and huge corporations and return it to the people, especially our Black community. We want to refocus and remember that pride began with Black, brown, and trans lives. We want bars and events to not only include but showcase and feature Black, brown, trans, femme, lesbian, non-binary, ballroom, and all other underrepresented communities at all promotions and advertisements, for without these communities, we will not have any of these achievements that we have today.
Yes.
We want to also demand justice for trans lives that have been murdered. We also want to demand the decriminalization of sex work, because sex work is real work and they shouldn't have to be in fear at all, because we're all just fucking trying to get that bag and get that money. There's no reason why we should be afraid of doing that. We also want to be clear, and we also want to reiterate that one of our demands is defunding the police to fund our communities and redistribute wealth so that we can have the same resources available to us that these white neighbors and communities have.
Yes.
We want community control of the police with an elected civilian police accountability council that can promptly fire brutal police and superintendent. Remember CPAC now.
CPAC. Yes.
Also, just so we're clear, we want to make sure that we are fighting towards abolishing ICE, stopping deportations, stopping scapegoating immigrants and refugees, and we're also, again, reiterating the demand of justice for trans lives who have been murdered. Thank you so much to the Broadway Youth Center, the V.O.I.C.E.S Project, to Molasses, to Trans Equity Alliance, Life is Work, Black Tri Council, One North Side, Trans Alliance, or Trans Chicago, and of course, thank you to the rest of Pride Without Prejudice. I appreciate so much of you for being out here in the rain and for hearing the voices that I spoke today. I hope you all have a really dope ass day, and I hope you all continue fighting and advocating for trans lives in your communities. Thanks.